Vehicle reliability should be one of the core components that you take into consideration whenever you're looking to buy a car. And today we have an updated list of the most and the least reliable cars per a 2023 Consumer Report. And so in this video, I'm going to talk about which cars have the best reliability, which ones have the worst, and which ones should be avoided entirely. So let's first address the elephant in the room, the one that I know I'm going to get a ton of flack for. But remember, I didn't make up this Consumer Reports list. I am purely just the messenger. And that is electric vehicles. Electric vehicles are substantially less reliable than gas cars, and that includes Tesla. In fact, according to Consumer Reports, EVs have 79% more problems than gas cars. And whenever you really begin to think about it, it makes a lot of sense, because while gas cars have more maintenance than EVs because of the fact that you have to do oil changes and things like that, gas cars have also been around for significantly longer, and as a result, the technology is more refined, it's more stable, and automakers really know what they're doing. But with EVs, it's a sort of uncharted territory. Automakers are learning as they go, they're adjusting and they're trying new things, and as a result, reliability is sort of sacrificed. And so while I am absolutely surprised to hear that EVs are significantly less reliable than gas cars, I mean, having 79% more problems is no small margin. I'm not surprised to hear that EVs are just more unreliable than gas cars altogether. What did come as a surprise was plug-in hybrids. In a twist, plug-in hybrids have 146% more problems than gas vehicles, but traditional hybrids actually have 26% fewer problems. And truthfully, this also came as a shock to me. Not only the fact that plug-in hybrids are substantially less reliable than both gas cars as well as EVs, but the fact that traditional non-plug-in hybrids are actually more reliable than gas cars. I'm not exactly sure what the logic is here, but it's definitely good to know. And so if you're somebody who's looking to buy either a hybrid, plug-in hybrid, EV, or gas car, it seems as though the hybrid is the way to go. Whereas prior to this Consumer Report, I probably would have thought that the way to go would have been a plug-in hybrid because it's sort of the best of both worlds. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Now, all of this data discussed in this video is based off of the last 3 model years. And with this in mind, let's take a look at some of the reliability scores of different cars in the automotive space. Now, the reliability score is a metric that Consumer Reports created to measure, well, reliability. And according to Consumer Reports, this year we calculated brand level score by first examining the weighted overall problem rate for all models within a brand for each model year. Then the brand reliability score was calculated by averaging results from 2021 to 2023, as well as some early 2024 data for each brand where there was sufficient sample size. Consumer Reports also stated that this is a different way for calculating reliability, and because of this, they aren't comparing this year's scores to prior year scores. So if you want to check out the reliability of older vehicles or cars prior to 2021, then you will have to find a Consumer Report or a reliability ranking from another website from years prior. This is pretty much only going to be applicable if you're somebody who's looking for a newer vehicle. Now, I'm going to be going over this entire Consumer Report with you, but first, I want to talk about some of the vehicles that did and did not surprise me. 2 brands I was not surprised to see in their respective spots were number 1 and number 2 on this list, and that is Lexus and Toyota. Lexus has a reliability score of 79, while Toyota has a score of 76. But one I was surprised to see was Mini. Mini was actually ranked number 3 on this list with a reliability score of 71. And while I know Minis do typically have a pretty solid reputation, and I've definitely heard good things about these cars from people that own them, I certainly didn't expect for this car to be number 3 on this list right behind Toyota and Lexus, 2 brands that are absolutely known for their reliability standard. Now, I was not surprised that Tesla was fairly low on this list, especially given what I talked about earlier in this video, where EVs are just overall significantly less reliable than gas-powered cars. But what I was surprised about was the fact that not only BMW, but also Porsche ranked significantly higher than Tesla whenever it comes to reliability. Tesla had a score of 48, which was quite low, while on the other hand, BMW had a score of 64 and Porsche had a score of 66. Porsche and BMW are known for a number of different things, and reliability isn't one of them. While on the flip side, I know of many Tesla owners that love to tout the fact that their Tesla has 0 issues. And while I wouldn't say that Tesla is necessarily known for their good reliability, I certainly wouldn't say that they're known for their poor reliability either. So the fact that they ranked so substantially lower than BMW and Porsche definitely came as a shock. Another one that I was surprised about was Ford. Ford ranked 22 on this list, worse than a lot of other brands, but only better than a few, and they had a reliability score of 40. Now, I know that Ford reliability can definitely be a hit or a miss. There are people like my husband who swear up and down by Ford, while there are others that absolutely deem it one of the worst brands to buy. I'm probably a little bit biased because my husband is a certified Ford fanboy. And while I know that there are plenty of Ford models that I won't touch with the 10-foot pole whenever it comes to my Turo fleet, I am surprised to see that Ford Ford ranked so poorly with this reliability list. And it's actually really bad timing because I just bought a Lincoln Navigator, which is ranked number 21 on this list, even worse than Ford, but more on that in another video. Now let's actually go through the list of the different cars and their reliability, and I want to provide some additional context on some of the different automakers that were and were not included. Now, I personally really like this new list that Consumer Reports came out with because of the fact that it not only breaks down the different types of cars and how they rank, but you can even expand the search and see the different types of models as well. And while you do have to pay to see the full breakdown, it's still very valuable information that's free if you don't want to pay for the full in-depth one. But as we talked about, the list starts out with Lexus, Toyota, and Mini, which are ranked 79, 76, and 71. Acura, Honda, and Subaru follow with 70, 70, and 69. And then Mazda, Porsche, BMW, and Kia follow as well. This is considered the highest reliability tier, which you can see is pictured by it being colored green. The one thing I want to recognize is the glow up of the century, which is Kia. I know that I have on a number of different occasions, so that Kia is part of my blacklist for my Turo fleet. And while this is because I predominantly buy older cars and older Kias are ones that you simply shouldn't mess with, we all have to acknowledge the strides that Kia has taken over the years. Not only has Kia become a real lookover brand, they have excellent EVs, but they're also pretty dang reliable. It's an impressive feat. Hyundai is actually quite a bit lower than Kia, which I was surprised about. Kia has 61, while Hyundai has 56. Given the fact that these brands are basically the same, I was surprised to see such a discrepancy. You can see Buick and Infiniti sit between Hyundai and Tesla, Ram, Cadillac, Nissan, and Genesis, and then Audi. Truthfully, I was a bit surprised to see that Audi ranked higher than not only Ford, but also Lincoln and Volvo. Volvo has a pretty good reputation of being a sturdy brand, while Audi has a pretty bad reputation of being unreliable. So the fact that Audi scored a 43, but Volvo scored a 28, that was a pretty big shock. And truthfully, the fact that Audi was in the top 20, I was pretty surprised about. You go down to the list, I would say the 5 worst reliable cars are probably not much of a shock. While I was surprised to see Volvo as number 6, I'm not surprised to see Jeep or Volkswagen. And while Rivian is definitely a newer brand, and whether or not the brand can stand the test of time, at least from a reliability standpoint, is definitely in question, I would say their track record so far isn't that great. And that probably warrants them that 24 score. I've heard really good things from Rivian owners whenever Rivians are functioning as intended. But I've also heard that Rivian owners have a ton of issues, and whenever those issues pop up, it can be a bit of a pain to get them fixed. Not to mention the fact that the car costs tens of thousands of dollars to fix for just a minor fender bender. I like Rivians quite a bit, and earlier this year I really considered buying one, but I just think from a reliability standpoint, there is too much in the air whenever it comes to that brand, especially for a car that's supposed to be an off-roading machine. I'll just stick with Toyota. And to top it off, 2 brands that I'm not surprised to see on this list, though I have to admit I am a big fan of them, is Mercedes. They have a reliability score of 23, and while I've had a great experience with my Mercedes that I own, I can understand why they got this. And no one should be shocked by number 30 on this list, Chrysler, which scored a whopping 18. Chryslers aren't exactly known for their reliability. I do think it's important to note that under all of this information, Consumer Reports does state we had insufficient data to create brand rankings for Alfa Romeo, Fiat, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lucid, Maserati, Mitsubishi, and Polestar. And well, I think it's safe to assume that a number of those brands would have received a less than stellar reliability rating. I'm looking at you, Maserati, Jaguar, and Land Rover. We don't need a ranking to understand that those makes are probably not the most reliable on the road. I think that reliability scores are so interesting whenever it comes to the car market as a whole, because I think that the topic of reliability, while it should be one that's relatively black and white, it oftentimes is one that's very contentious. Sure, there are the no-brainer reliable brands out there like Toyota and Lexus, but it seems as though every other brand that you could choose from, there are a number of people that absolutely swear by those brands, while there are others that believe that they're the worst car that's ever been made. For example, for every Ford fanboy, there's another person that absolutely hates Ford and thinks they're piles of dog crap. But as somebody who really values quality and wants to be able to confidently go into my car and know that it will work every single time, I take reliability as my number 1 factor when it comes to buying a car. And so I find these Consumer Reports to be very, very interesting, and hopefully they've been helpful for you if you're somebody who is looking to buy a car this year or in 2024. But I think we can all come to a pretty good conclusion that if reliability is your number 1 factor that you're taking into consideration when buying a new car, it's probably best to stay away from EVs and Chryslers. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.